सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ओम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। Om Tat Sat. This is my first uh, effort to go online, and we do not have many participants. But as I have learned in my past experiences, that the show must go on, and I will continue. First of all, I thank Aaron's Diner for allowing me to use their space as well as their internet connection, because where I stay, the internet connection is very poor. We will have a lot of background noises, but I'll try to get rid of them as much as possible during the editing. But please bear with me. So this effort is towards moving on my own path, as well as explaining what I can share with people. At the outset, I have chosen a text, but today will be mostly introductions. And the first 10 or 15 sessions are largely introductions. Introduction to the text, introduction to the content, introduction to the approach, introduction maybe to myself also. So my name is Samarpan Anand Saraswati. I have been exploring the path of spirituality as well as life for last 35 plus years, around 35 years for sure, of which sannyasa, the journey to sannyasa started in 92 to be precise. 92 January it started. 93 I joined Bihar School of Yoga, and I left Bihar School of Yoga finally in 2003 physically. In my heart, I doubt if I can ever leave, because that's my basic identity. The cloth that I wear also comes from Bihar School of Yoga, in terms of initiation at least. So, but my path has taken me through various experiences. So my approach might not be totally Bihar School of Yoga like, and those who may find fault in it, my apologies. It's my path, and I'm sharing what I have learned. So in life, we go through various experiences and learnings, and after a certain time, we attain a certain maturity, and we begin to ask more abstract questions. In fact, I have seen children asking these questions, small children. I guess they have evolved a lot in their previous births. So the questions like, who is God? How are we created? Who is the original creator? Or what were we before, or what existed before humans were seen on this planet? So these kind of questions come a lot from even children. So it's not always maturity as an age or physical experience. But before we go to all of this, let us get some of the basic facts very clear. The term Hinduism has been very misunderstood, and it is used to address a cluster of people, like we would say Americans or Europeans or South Americans or Africans. Each of them can be a very diverse, hold very diverse cultures within them. The term Hinduism basically implies the culture that evolved on the banks and beyond the banks of the river Indus. So that's how the term Sindhu or Hindu comes from. And in the scriptures, it has been mentioned as the land that comes from Himalayas down to the Indian Ocean. So all of this stretch of land is the land that is called Hindustan. So the cultures that evolved here, that thrived here, are basically that form Hinduism. And these can be very, very diverse. Largely speaking, we could categorize them as those which rose out of intellectual analysis and understanding, as well as those that arose out of one's emotional requirements and needs and fulfillment. So that's how we can broadly categorize them. One is intellect oriented, other has been categorized in academic circles as effort oriented, which I would say were basically to address the emotional and social requirements, individual requirements of people. The text, the systems that evolved, which consider knowledge as the chief architect, and they currently swear by the wisdom of Vedas, are generally addressed as the Vedic system. And they are Nyaya, which is logic, Vaisheshika, which is basically classification, the methods of classification and categorization, Yoga, which is basically understanding what is discipline, how to achieve it, and how it works, what is the journey like. Sankhya, which explains the binary of the creation. Purva Mimamsa, basically the rituals that evolved to explain the learnings. These all comprise Purva Mimamsa. And Uttar Mimamsa is the analysis of the learnings that came from all of the previously mentioned topics, or even general lifestyle, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Sankhya, Purva Mimamsa. All of the learnings that came through this are these qualify one for discussion, as well as these become the learnings, become the content for the analysis and discussions, and that forms the Uttar Mimamsa. Those who considered that wisdom came from toil and hard work and engaging with the issues of the world were generally called Shravana, which means they did Shrama or efforts. These efforts could have been in various ways, and Vedantis explain them, categorize them as Buddhism, and other three are part of or uh, subtopics or subgroups of Buddhism, like Vaibhashika, Sautantrika, Yogachara, and then you have Jainas and Charvakas. So these are the categorization by the some of the Vedantis. Others may differ. In the Pali texts, they are explained as Purana Kashyapa, which was a rishi who denied any reward or punishment for good or bad deeds. The topic in English can be called amoralism. There was Makhali Gosala, the system that evolved as based on his views was Ajivika system, or Niyati Vada, which is fatalism, that destiny is everything, we are powerless, and suffering is predestined. Then there was Ajita Keshakambali. The system that evolved was Lokayata or materialism, which was the predecessor to Charvaka system, which basically said live happily because with death everything is annihilated, everything goes into ashes. Then you had Papudha, Kachayana. The system that evolved was Shashvatavada, which in Pali is mentioned as Shashvatavada, which or eternalism. which where it basically says everything is eternal and they do not really interact. Matter is matter; it doesn't interact with pleasure or pain. It has no role in it. Pleasure is pleasure, and it has nothing to do with matter. Pain is pain. Everything is there. Everything exists, and everything is uh, always there, eternally there, and soul, and they are all there, but they do not really interact with each other. They all exist. So it sees everything in compartments. Then you had Niganta Nathaputta or Mahavir Jain, uh, and the system that evolved further was Jainism, where it was explained that restraint had to be there, and one is endowed with, cleansed by, and suffused by restraint for an avoidance of evil. Then you have a Sanjay Belahatiputta, Sanjay of Belahatiputta. The system that was that evolved was agnosticism, or better known as Agyana. It basically says, I don't think so, I don't think in this way or that way or otherwise, and I do not think or not think. So this was basically suspension of judgment. There have been the faiths that arose out of evolution of emotional investments and experiments in lifestyles, as well as processes in health management. Broadly, they got partially absorbed into Shaktaism, Vaishnavism, and Shaivism. These are very broad classifications. There were those that arose out of experiences of administrators. So there might be people who were not following really any system, but through experience of life, through experience of uh, responsibilities, they came up with certain wisdom, and these were seen. The wisdom was seen through folk songs and tales of those times, and in some cases it has been recorded as niti, like Vidur Niti or Chanakya Niti. There have also been thinking processes that evolved out of organized efforts of survival and were more market driven. We shall not be discussing them here, partly since they have little constructive to offer in one's spiritual growth. With this vast area, I shall be currently focusing on topics discussed in speeches of Sri Dongreji Maharaj. He was a great orator, a very popular orator in the northern part of Western India, particularly Gujarat. The text he is very well known for is the Purana called Srimad Bhagavat, which in terms of poetry among classical Indian texts is the most profound, most is the latest and the most profound. And it is popularly known as the text that has exploits of Krishna and his various avatars. I also will have an inclination to share more of the understanding that's behind the text rather than delving purely into stories that we can make use of in our own understanding and find our own answers. So, there are a couple of other points also I'll try to, which are not part of the text, but which may come up when which may come up in the mind of the listeners. So one is religion itself. So what is am I religious? Am I part of any religion? You see, by birth, we are religions are foisted upon us. So by that definition, you could put me as in a bracket. By clothing, also you could put me in a bracket. But religion is a very basic beginner's approach to self-discipline. That's how I would put it, and I normally call it the play school or the kindergarten of self-discipline. So no, basically I'm a sannyasi. So sannyas is about negating or refusing to be part of any limiting factor, whether it is a religious group or a community or a caste. We generally negate everything. We are kind of rebels, but at the same time, over a period of time, we have adopted methods that existed for our own growth. So some methods that have really worked for us, we continue with it, and that identifies us in certain ways. And we can say that the systems that evolved within India have been extremely helpful, but we have been always open to learning from everywhere. Even today, I learn from people from multiple nationalities, multiple geographies, and uh, whether it is martial arts or dancing or uh, philosophy, I'm open to learning from everyone, from everywhere. So we are not limited in any way, and therefore we simply do not fall under any category. Sannyasa has been also explained in very traditional way, which can be acceptable to people, and I respect that, and I do not question that, and I do consider myself to be part of that. But at the same time, I prefer to explain or be clear about my approach to sannyasa as well as to spirituality. Uh, Vid is a word which means to know, and Veda is basically things that have been understood by different explorers of life, people seeking answers to certain questions. And the compilation of this forms the subjects of discussion in Vedanta, especially when they are regarding creation, origin of creation, uh, subjects that can lead us towards peace, subjects that can lead us towards common brotherhood, towards oneness. Uh, there may have been, and there are probably many topics which may not fall under this category, but the mantras that have survived largely explain this. Obviously, because they were the most important ones, and the ones that did not survive because of lack of patronization and learners. Srimad Bhagavat has been a source of contentment and mental peace to many if one listens with a lot of faith. It also invokes a kind of catharsis, which helps us towards resolution of many issues within us. Before we venture into the text itself, we should dwell upon the importance and the purpose of the discussions that follow. Sat, Chit, Anand. These are three words through which the ultimate truth has been explained. To some, the Supreme Godhead has been explained. Among believers, it has been explained. To understand this, we have to take the examples. I will be taking the examples of air and light. Dongreji Maharaj has taken the example of milk. How he has explained it, we will come to that. But air pervades everything that is there in this world. And I'm not talking of space, I'm talking of within Earth. So air is there in everything and everywhere. But when the air is very calm, we do not really experience it, we do not really understand it, we miss it out completely. People miss out their own breath also. In the classes, I have been surprised when people asked, breathing, what breathing? Where should we look at? How do we watch our breath? Obviously, it has its own upbringing, has its role in their understanding or lack of understanding. But what I'm trying to say is, air can be missed out so badly. Same goes with the light. If in the space we can see that sun is shining, stars are shining, but there's darkness everywhere. There's darkness because there's no air there. Light needs a medium to reflect. So on earth, we see the light because we see the light getting reflected by the air. Same goes with the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth pervades everything everywhere, and that is called Sat. When a medium, gets a medium to reflect upon, it is called chit, and that chit is also called knowledge. Through knowledge, it reflects itself, but it stands as a witness. It does not do anything. And its ultimate form is Anand, the feeling we experience whenever we experience fullness. That is Anand. People have tried to explain it as bliss, but bliss can be very misleading. So we will just try to dwell upon the word Anand and the term fullness, the experience of fullness. There is a saying, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, that which resides in the body manifests in the world, in the outer world. The Anand which resides within us, we naturally seek it in our experiences outside through external objects and activities. But Anand is our real identity. The text Srimad Bhagavat teaches us to realize it or manifest it in our lives. Dongreji Maharaj uses the example of butter in the milk. Just as one needs to put milk through a process where churning helps bring out the butter, one has to put one's thought processes through a churn to bring out the experiences of this sense of unconditional fulfillment. Just as one does not experience butter in milk directly, similarly, one does not experience the all pervading Supreme Godhead despite being manifestations of the same. We are the manifestations of the same ultimate truth. There are many types of Anand explained in Taittiriya Upanishad, of which two main ones are fulfillment that comes out of external means and self-fulfillment. So we will discuss this further in the next session. This was my first experience, and let's see how it goes. And I look forward to meeting everyone again in the next sessions. We had today gone through some basics, some basic facts that may provoke questions. Those questions are most welcome. Please WhatsApp me on the number which has been given in the circulars. The number is 890-395-9395. Please feel free to contribute also because I do not have any funding platform. So I'm largely relying on my savings and my sharings. So I call upon everyone to share also. Whatever you can share is fine. It is a token of your goodwill, and I will appreciate it as that. And the link through which the UPI link through which you can contribute is Yoga Yagya, YOGA at OKSBI. So I look forward to meeting all of you. So before we finish, we will kind of summarize that we spoke about what we are going to talk in the coming days. We spoke about what text we are going to follow. We spoke about what are the schools of thought, the academic schools of thought, both in the Vedic system and in the non-Vedic system, how each of them sees these schools of thought. We also spoke of what is sannyasa, sannyasa in the practical sense, sannyasa as a medium of bringing people together, sannyasa as a medium of or a shelter where people of all thoughts and way of thinking and leading life can come together and follow the path of truth. We also discussed about what is Vedanta in very short, in very brief, but these were some of the discussions. So please try to dwell upon this, ask whatever questions you might have on WhatsApp, and I will try to either answer them in the next session, or we might have a special session for exclusively for questions and answers if the numbers of questions rises. So I look forward to seeing every one of you again. Namaskar. Please sit straight, eyes closed. Become aware of your breathing. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Bring your awareness to the eyebrow center. Visualize a bright red rising sun in the eyebrow center. Become aware of the brightness, the shape, the color. I'll chant Om 3 times, then a Vedic hymn. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. Bring your palms together, rub your palms.